to get us started with anything. You with the great looking sandwich.
One thing I'm concerned about is I heard
I'll repeat the question for anybody who cannot hear.
I heard pension reform is going to be handed over to the schools, where the schools could end up checking up everybody's property taxes. Okay, and then the other question I have is too.
Let me address that one first, and then
Well, it's all kind of the same.
Okay, then go ahead.
Okay, get all these apartment buildings with all these people living in all these apartment buildings all around here. What taxes are they paying?
They are.
You know, I mean, their kids are going to school. They got large families, and it's ridiculous.
Let me address your first question, and you're right, it is all
How
related.
can they get away with that?
Building owners pay the property
That's what they're
tax.
doing.
No, that, my friend, is what elections are all about. That's how they can get away with it. Look, come on in, guys. Who are you flagging? Oh, okay. How are you? You're being flagged down by an awful pretty woman. If you were smart,
She's my daughter.
I know that. If you were smart, I knew that, by the way. If you were smart, that's where you ought to be heading. I'm in Washington, so fortunately or unfortunately, I don't get to deal with the big pension problem down in Springfield. But you're right. There's a movement because Springfield's broke, and Illinois can't address. And look what they did at the end of last week. They all were going to meet for a special session and couldn't get anything done. So because Illinois, the state of Illinois, doesn't have the whatever it takes to finally do something about this pension crisis, what do the wise brains want to do? They want to put it all in the local communities. So there is a movement afoot to do that. Hasn't happened yet, but this is something you got to keep your eyes on. Because the state is going to try to shove off some of their bills.
They're going to force people out of their homes.
Absolutely. It's something that we shouldn't let the people in Springfield do. I agree with it.
Can I put my 2 cents worth in there? I'm a retired teacher, and we pay 10% for our pension. We do not pay into Social Security. We pay 10%, which is more than Social Security takes out of our salary. Both of them. And the state was supposed to match it, which they did not do. So that's where the problem is. We paid for our pensions. We paid our portion of it.
Let's open this up then to a discussion. Illinois has the worst, highest pension liability in the country. If we don't do something about it, it will break this state. You raised some great issues. People have paid into these things for a long time. Okay, so here we sit, Illinois. What should we do, if anything, about our pension crisis?
Fire them all.
Okay, fire who all?
All
The politicians?
Put Mannequin and Quinn in jail with them.
Okay, if you fired all the politicians and you put a new group of first-time politicians down in Springfield, it may make us all feel better, but the problem still exists. Illinois is still broke, about to be bankrupt. Is there anything we should do about it?
Cut back on some wasteful spending.
Well, okay, there's a lot of wasteful spending down in Springfield you can cut back on. A lot of things government's doing that maybe we'd all agree government shouldn't be doing. But I'm trying to be really specific with everybody because we tend to always want our politicians to talk straight, right? Okay? Illinois has a huge pension problem that will break this state. Should we ignore it? Should we do something about it? Something dramatic? Something, just a little reform? Or should we ignore it? Yes, ma'am.
Well, I respect the sentiment of fire politicians. I really don't think the onus is completely on the politicians. They are not tax experts necessarily. They are not pension reform experts. I say privatize public pensions, or in so much as have an outside administrator managing it, people who know how to manage money. Because if you put it in the coffers, aren't used to dealing with that type of information, it's going to fail, and it has.
Well, and combined with that is, there's blame on both sides. We've been playing this dance in Illinois for years. We played it in other states where the government union employees would help get politicians elected. Once they got those politicians elected, those politicians would turn around and sweeten the pension deals of those union employees who helped get them elected. And then the next election would come around, and those government union employees would work to get the politicians elected again, and the politicians would sweeten the pension deal, and we kept playing this game, election after election, and here we sit, completely broke, on our backs and broke. And so, I'm with you, it's really easy to rag on the politicians, because they kept doing it. All they wanted to do was get elected. But the government union employees kept getting these people elected, expecting their pension deals to be sweetened. Again, not a federal issue. This isn't something I deal with. But guys, something's got to be done. I had a town, no, I wasn't a town hall. I had a debate last week with Tammy Duckworth that she didn't show up at. So it was just one of many.
Bet you won. Bet you won that one.
It was closer than you think. So I had a great young fireman up there who talked about, you know, the fire pension, and we paid into it and all this. And I said, great, I hear you. But right now, unless Illinois does something about its pension crisis, we're probably going to declare bankruptcy. Is there anything we should do? And he said, no, nope, don't touch our benefits. Now, I don't think that's where most people in Illinois feel. I don't think that's where most of us are. But you had a bunch of politicians who scrambled down to Springfield Friday from Governor Quinn, who, by the way, did not endorse me last week. Shocker. To all the Republicans and Democrats, and they came out and they did nothing. So, something's got to be done.
One day,
What do you recommend?
start messing with the pensions of the teachers and other government workers.
What do I recommend?
What about giving them back their Social Security?
Giving who back?
Government pension workers.
Never paid into Social
I paid into Social Security, and instead of getting $500 a month, I get $160 a month.
I think the answer is pretty simple.
What about just giving them back their Social Security?
That may be part of the answer. I think the answer is pretty simple. You have a lot of people, you have a lot of current people who cut deals that politicians made for them, and then you got new folks entering the pension system. So for the new folks entering the system, that should be the easy part. You're not going to get the same deal these guys have. We're going to scale it way back.
That's what private industry did.
Yeah. So, but then for people who are currently receiving pension deals, again, this may get me in trouble because Team Duckworth is always filming everything I say. I think we got to sit down with everybody who's getting a current pension deal, and we got to somehow reform these. And we got to somehow say, look, do you care about your state? I know you got a deal that you paid into, and I know you're getting benefits that you think you all deserve. But right now our state is about to fall off a cliff. Do you wanna take another look at your deal, revise it a little bit to see if that can't be part of how we begin to financially save this state? That's a tough conversation. No politician clearly wants to have that conversation with any government union employee currently, which is why they're not addressing the problem. But I think that's the conversation we've got to have.
Conversation you may really have to have is you have to stay within the limits of your budget, whatever your budget is. And if you don't have any money, you can't pay it.
Well, let me tell you,
You have to have some money.
that
If we don't have any money, what do we cut out? Everything?
you, my friend, make way too much sense. Don't ever go into government. Promise me?
I'm an engineer.
You make way too much sense.
I have given some stuff to your friend John over there for you to look at.
Thank you.
After this meeting.
Understand something. The very first bill I introduced in Congress last spring was a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution. Probably the one bill I'm proudest of, along with my term limits bill, and we came within about 10 votes of passing it out of the House. This may surprise you, Illinois has a balanced budget amendment to its Constitution. Not every balanced budget amendment is the same, exactly, because there are loopholes in Illinois' balanced budget amendment. Illinois is able to borrow money every year to balance its books. So it continues to go into more and more debt to try to abide by its balanced budget amendment. Many states, most states, guys, 46, 47 states in the country have balanced budget amendments. The vast majority of them have more loopholes that you can drive trucks through, Illinois included. But I agree. This is part of, I think, what the country's so upset about. We got Washington living way beyond its means. We got Springfield for years living way beyond its means. And I think the American people have finally gotten to the point where they've said, time out, stop. We can't do this anymore. You saw that play out up in the Wisconsin special election a month or two ago. Governor Walker came in and he said, you talk about a guy coming in saying, here's what I'm going to do. I care about the state of Wisconsin. I'm not going to let this pension crisis break us. And you saw a lot of government union employees stamping their feet saying, no way. Well, Governor Walker did what he had to do. And by the way, in Wisconsin, they haven't laid off one government worker. We have in Illinois. In Wisconsin, their economy is growing. Illinois isn't. He made some tough choices, some tough decisions.
They're getting billboards out saying, like the governor of Indiana, hey, people of Illinois, come to Indiana. People of Illinois, come to Wisconsin. We're better for business.
And you know what? They're coming.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a proud Illinoisan. I was born and raised here. But if I'm running a business, if I'm paying taxes in this state, if I'm trying to retire in this state, I'm sorry if this offends anybody. This is a lousy state to do business in. It's a lousy state to be a taxpayer in. It's a scary state to retire in. And folks, if you're planning on dying, don't die in Illinois. It's probably one of the most expensive states to die in. We have probably one of the highest state death taxes.
What are you doing to fix it?
What am I doing to fix
Yeah, you
it?
can't do the state.
I'm a congressman in Washington.
Let's talk about the federal budget.
Well, the only way to fix Illinois,
Oh yeah, that's right. Harry Reid ought to be impeached for not passing a federal budget.
don't bring up Harry Reid.
Oh,
The only way to fix Illinois is to peacefully remove the tyrant who works down in Springfield, Mike Madigan. One man runs this state.
Right. And how can we out here get rid of him who's in the southwest suburbs of Chicago?
He's the Speaker of the House down there.
Right.
So the only way to do that is to put Republicans in charge of the House. Because right now the Democrats have been running the Illinois House for years. So the only way to remove him from power, and I think we're 6 seats short, is to send Republicans down there. And for all of you who have just this little bit of faith in Republicans to go down to Springfield and do what we want them to do, I don't have a lot of faith, because the Illinois Republican Party for a long time has been diplomatically defunct, a joke.
Diplomatically
Democrat, however you want to say it. See, the Democrats in Illinois, guys, the state, there isn't, California's close. There isn't another state in the country that is in as horrific financial shape as this. Forget about the Democrats. They won't do anything about it because they believe in government. Your only hope is the Republican Party. But the Illinois Republican Party for years has been just ineffectual. That's such a wonderfully